The scheme was straightforward yet ruthless. During a major national celebration scheduled for Friday, a skilled marksman would eliminate President Traoré from an elevated position atop a building. Simultaneously, the capital city's electrical grid would be sabotaged, plunging everything into darkness. Pandemonium would sweep through the streets. Military units aligned with General Diallo would seize strategic locations throughout the metropolis. State-controlled media outlets would broadcast an urgent bulletin. The president had fallen victim to terrorist extremists. Within mere hours, an interim administration would assume control. Diallo would emerge as the nation's new figurehead. International corporations would resume their profitable operations. The precious metal extraction would commence once more, flowing freely without restrictions. No one would dare raise objections. Any potential resistance would be crushed before it could materialize. However, there existed one significant obstacle: Captain Farida Soar. As the commander of Traoré's personal security detail, she had developed an uncanny ability to detect threats. Her suspicion served as her greatest asset, and her vigilance never wavered. The first warning signs, during what appeared to be an ordinary evening, while methodically reviewing security protocols and surveillance records, Captain Soar detected anomalies that sent chills down her spine. Security personnel were being reassigned without proper authorization or explanation. An unauthorized unmanned aerial vehicle had been spotted conducting reconnaissance near the presidential compound. Most troubling of all, a maintenance technician had deliberately erased critical footage from the executive garage's security cameras. Rather than immediately reporting these irregularities through official channels, she chose to trust her instincts. Her cautious approach proved wise when she discovered an unmarked storage device placed deliberately on her workspace. No message accompanied it, no indication of its origin. Against standard protocol but driven by intuition, she connected it to an isolated computer system. The contents made her blood run cold. Documents labeled "Black Sand Final Phase" filled the screen. Her hands trembled as she navigated through the files. Detailed maps highlighting sniper positions, lists of compromised security personnel, counterfeit travel documents, fabricated casualty reports, and most damning of all, a single encrypted message. Target elimination confirmed for Friday during Economic Independence celebration. Authorization: General Diallo. A deadly encounter. As the gravity of her discovery sank in, Farida realized she wasn't alone. Before she could secure the room, a figure materialized from the shadows. The intruder moved with practiced precision, silent, methodical, lethal. His gloved hand reached for her throat. Captain Soar's combat training kicked in instinctively. She hit the ground hard but rolled away immediately. Her attacker was professional, trained in close-quarters combat. But she possessed something he lacked: desperation fueled by loyalty. When he reached for his sidearm, she didn't hesitate. Grabbing a nearby desk lamp, she struck with devastating force. The assailant crumpled to the floor. Without pausing to interrogate her would-be assassin, she fled through the corridors, utilizing service passages known only to senior security staff. Her destination was clear. The president needed immediate warning. The web of betrayal. While Farida raced through darkened hallways, President Ibrahim Traoré sat in contemplation within his private study. The electrical system had experienced unexplained fluctuations twice that evening. Security cameras throughout his residential wing were mysteriously offline for scheduled maintenance. Two of his most trusted cabinet members had tendered their resignations without explanation or farewell. His survival instincts, honed through years of conflict, screamed danger. Reaching for his secure communication device to contact Farida, he discovered the signal was dead. In another wing of the palatial complex, Minister Adama Kouanda sat across from General Diallo, sharing what appeared to be a cordial evening tea. Kouanda's trembling hands betrayed his inner turmoil. "Losing your resolve, old comrade?" Diallo inquired, his voice devoid of warmth. Kouanda remained silent. Once he had believed in Traoré's vision, had fought alongside him for reform. Now, foreign interests had ensnared him in their web. His family had been relocated overseas. His name already appeared on termination lists should he refuse cooperation. "I simply wish for minimal bloodshed," Kawanda whispered. "No unnecessary casualties. No harm to innocents." Diallo's laughter echoed coldly through the chamber. "There's no gentle method to dethrone a lion. The race against time." At precisely 2:17 a.m., Captain Soar reached the palace's rear entrance. The posted sentries appeared bewildered by her presence. "Command informed us you'd departed for the northern military installation," one guard stated, uncertainly. "Who issued that directive?" Farida demanded. The guard's hesitation spoke volumes. "Minister Kawanda, ma'am." Ice flooded Farida's veins. Pushing past the confused guards, she sprinted toward the president's quarters. She found Traoré standing vigilant by the window, an antique service pistol in hand. No explanations were necessary. He recognized the urgency in her expression. "What have you uncovered?" he asked calmly. Farida presented the storage device. Traoré reviewed the contents methodically, his expression unchanging, save for the fire igniting in his eyes. After several minutes of silence, he spoke with quiet determination. "They intend to strike before Friday's ceremony, but they'll discover I don't succumb to fear." Building the resistance. As dawn approached, the president convened a clandestine meeting with three unlikely allies: a rural mathematics instructor who had once saved his life during a rebel assault, a former intelligence operative who had vanished after refusing to participate in civilian interrogations, and a teenage youth whose father had perished in a foreign military strike. The boy had become an online symbol of resistance. None wore formal attire or held official positions, yet their loyalty was unquestionable. Traoré addressed them solemnly. "Our government has been compromised from within. I don't require additional soldiers. I need true believers." His instructions were simple yet profound. Spread word discreetly throughout the villages. Monitor military installations for unusual activity. Prepare for something greater than conventional warfare. A people's uprising. The trapped titans. That evening, Minister Kawanda sat alone in his office, contemplating his final instructions from foreign handlers. "Friday, 11 a.m. Following the assassination, declare emergency protocols. You'll assume presidential powers by 3 p.m. Studying his reflection, he saw not a future leader but a traitor to his people. Meanwhile, Farida and Traoré meticulously reviewed palace blueprints, marking safe rooms, escape routes, and vantage points. One name repeatedly surfaced in their list of compromised personnel: Lieutenant Bako, recently transferred to sniper operations. He had vanished 2 days prior, but intelligence placed him at a hotel overlooking the stadium, precisely where the president would address the nation. On Friday, the pieces were falling into place. The stage was set. The lion appeared surrounded, yet remained alert and dangerous. The people awaken as golden sunlight bathed Ouagadougou. Darkness festered within military compounds. General Diallo addressed 15 senior officers, their uniforms identical but loyalties divided. Some had served alongside Traoré during northern campaigns. Others hungered for power, resentful of reforms that threatened their lucrative arrangements. Diallo slammed a dossier onto the conference table. "This individual," he declared, indicating Traoré's photograph, "is dismantling our military structure. He's eroding our influence. He's exposing our operations." One colonel dared to stand. "Sir, he's attempting to rebuild our nation." Diallo's stare could have frozen fire. "If we wait for his utopian dreams, we'll all face unemployment or execution." That colonel vanished within 48 hours. While conspirators plotted, Captain Soar intensified her investigation. Recognizing she needed specialized assistance, she sought out Kumba Yara, a former cyber intelligence specialist now operating as a civilian mechanic. In a cluttered garage surrounded by dismantled motorcycles, Kumba accessed the storage device's hidden partitions. Their discoveries were chilling. Financial transfers from offshore accounts to secret holdings in neighboring countries, drone surveillance documenting the president's daily routines, detailed schematics of the presidential motorcade. The conspiracy wasn't merely assassination, it was complete erasure of Traoré's legacy. The Shadow Army in subterranean chambers. Beneath the Defense Ministry, soldiers loyal to Diallo received unmarked uniforms. No insignias, no identification. Are we truly proceeding with this? One soldier whispered. We're no longer soldiers, another replied grimly. We've become shadows. The operation timeline was precise. First, disable the power grid. Second, jam all communications. Third, isolate the president. Fourth, neutralize Captain Soar. Fifth, execute the assassination. Then Diallo would appear on national broadcasts, announcing a peaceful transition to restore stability. Yet something unexpected was occurring. The populace was stirring. Cryptic messages proliferated through messaging applications. Protect the Yai, lion. They're coming for our defender. Friday decides everything. Educators whispered to students. Taxi operators shared warnings at fuel depots. Village elders convened emergency assemblies. Youth groups began fashioning improvised shields. They didn't comprehend the full scope, but they sensed impending danger. For the first time in years, they prepared to defend something greater than individual interests, the president's resolve. Within the palace, Traoré gathered his inner circle, faces he'd trusted since battlefield days. No recording devices, no written records, only unwavering loyalty. I will attend Friday's rally, he declared. Let them come. The world must witness who seeks peace and who craves bloodshed. Some pleaded for reconsideration. He remained adamant. If they succeed in killing me, let it be while I stand tall, not cowering in shadows. The hunt intensifies. Time was Farida's enemy. Through hotel contacts, she discovered room 703 had been reserved for a diplomatic envoy. Yet surveillance revealed no diplomat, only a hooded figure carrying an elongated metal case. Lieutenant Bako, an expert marksman with foreign training, lethal at 600 meters. She rushed to intercept but found room 703 already vacant. The bed remained untouched, the window ajar. On the desk, a single cartridge and a note reading, "See you at the speech." The storm breaks Thursday night descended upon Ouagadougou with unnatural stillness. At precisely 11:47 p.m., the power grid failed. Street illumination extinguished sequentially. The presidential palace plunged into darkness. Internet connectivity faltered. Cellular networks crashed. The operation had commenced. Within the palace's reinforced bunker, President Traoré sat before an antiquated radio transmitter. Old technology, undetectable by modern surveillance. His voice carried across the airwaves, calm yet weighted with urgency. My people, tonight they attempt to erase your future. Not merely your president, but your voice, your sovereignty. If you hear this transmission, defend your homeland. Not with weapons, but with courage. The People's Army rises across the countryside. His message resonated. Near Koudougou, a young teacher sat with neighbors around an old radio. Without words, he stood, donned his father's revolutionary military jacket, and declared, "We go to Ouagadougou." Men and women nodded in agreement. Some gathered farming tools, others retrieved hunting rifles. They mounted motorcycles, bicycles, even donkeys, and began their journey. From northern regions, southern territories, desert expanses, and forest villages, the people mobilized. Meanwhile, traitor forces breached the palace perimeter. Compromised guards offered no resistance, as black vehicles discharged armed infiltrators in civilian attire. Yet Farida had anticipated this maneuver. Loyal marksmen positioned on the western tower opened fire. Chaos erupted. The final stand inside the palace. Emergency lighting flickered. Gunfire echoed through marble corridors. Farida, wounded but determined, reached the presidential bunker. "Mr. President, we must evacuate." Traoré shook his head. "If I flee, they win." Instead, he returned to the transmitter. His words carried hope across the nation. Outside, an unexpected sound grew louder. Engines, voices, chants. "We are the shield. We are the voice. Traoré is not alone." Thousands had surrounded the palace. Citizens formed human barricades with vehicles and market carts. They faced military vehicles armed only with kitchen utensils and determination. One woman, banging a metal container, shouted, "You cannot kill us all." The conspirators hesitated. They had prepared for surgical elimination, not popular uprising. Junior soldiers, raised on Traoré's principles, began turning their weapons against their corrupted commanders. Truth prevails. As dawn approached, the streets blazed with revolutionary fervor. Citizens maintained their vigil, their chorus unwavering. "Leave our president alone." Children broadcast from rooftops. Mothers distributed food to protesters. Elders drummed on empty containers. Mechanics blocked thoroughfares with disabled vehicles. Religious leaders stood united. Burkina Faso had spoken, and the world was listening. Inside his command center, General Diallo raged. "How did this happen?" An aide whispered the truth. The people weren't supposed to rise. Farida and Traoré fought through smoke-filled passages toward the broadcast facility. Their mission? Reveal the truth to the world. When they reached the transmission room, Traoré stood before the cameras. His clothing torn, his spirit unbroken. "My name is Ibrahim Traoré. I am your son, your brother, your servant. Tonight they attempted to murder your future. But I survived because you, the people, refused silence. Burkina Faso will not be sold. Burkina Faso will not kneel." The broadcast reached across Africa. Demonstrations erupted at embassies. Foreign military personnel saluted their screens. Diallo's remaining forces crumbled. Justice, delivered Farida's team, fully decoded the storage device, broadcasting evidence of the conspiracy. Secret payments, corporate collusion, plans for foreign military installations. Junior officers arrested Diallo at his hideout. Kwanda attempted escape in a UN-marked vehicle, but was detained by farmers armed only with determination. They told him, "You thought poverty made us weak, but we possess what you'll never understand: honor." The people's victory. 3 days later, Burkina Faso celebrated not with fear but with jubilation. President Traoré addressed 50,000 citizens at the national stadium. Yet danger still lurked. A final assassin, disguised as a journalist, waited in the crowd. Young Yaya, the viral resistance symbol, noticed the suspicious figure. As Bako raised his weapon, Yaya tackled him. A shot rang out, missing its mark. Security swarmed. The threat was neutralized. Traoré embraced the brave youth. "You saved your country again." That evening, the president returned to address his people. "They tried to kill me 3 times. They failed because I don't stand alone. I stand with you. And together, we are bulletproof." As he raised his fist, the crowd erupted. Burkina Faso belonged to its people, and as long as they protected each other, they would remain unconquerable. The conspiracy had failed. The traitors had fallen. The people had triumphed. Democracy lived another day, stronger than ever, forged in the crucible of courage and unity.